So we're gonna get like I might experiment with like mute buttons.
You guys see that?
Yeah, it's perfect. Mute buttons. Like
Cool.
thanks, man. So like you can mute your mic.
Oh, cool.
Useful sometimes if you cough or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked into it. They're called what are they called? Inline mute mic buttons. And I think what they do is they cut the electrical signal from the actual like XLR cable. So there's like a cable that goes here into the thing.
Is
And
it
I think
this?
I think it's called like rolls. No, I don't think it's this. You gotta type like XLR,
Oh, sorry.
but
Line mic mute button.
XLR or something. Yeah, left one. All the way. Rolls, yeah. Mic switch. I gotta look into how this works. I guess it just kills the electrical signal or something and then it brings it back. It's useful if you like cough or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like little random moments happen like that when your like mic is pointed right into your mouth.
This looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the blue is nice.
I like the font they use on the rolls.
Yeah.
I like how physical it is.
Yeah,
You know,
it's pretty
like-
physical.
Yeah, like but in the sense there's some like physical gap
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
being created, and yeah.
It's a physical object.
Ben would keep pressing the mute button. It probably feels really nice to mute.
You know,
Yeah.
it was one of the selling points for Alexa when it first came out was that the mute button was physical rather than digital, so that you could know for sure when it turned red that it wasn't recording you.
Damn.
The fact that they had to make that a selling point tells you a lot about
Yeah.
how people felt
Oh,
about
yeah,
it.
I
don't you?
remember that.
For Alexa, like
Yeah, Alexa, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. The typography on this thing is terrible, man.
wait, I was thinking it was good.
The rolls thing is nice, but there's like the mic switch thing. I don't know. Maybe
kinda-
it hits.
I
Why did
kinda
they have
like
to
it,
write
but-
MS11 on it, like 111?
The model?
Yeah, just put it on the back. Like, why do you have to put it on the front like
It
that?
looks cool, man.
I don't know, man. Rolls.com is insane. They got that domain. Is that real?
You think it's
No way. Wow, they got rolls.com?
Yo.
That's crazy.
This is a Fireside.
Damn, this must be one of those companies that's been around so
Yeah.
long, you know? They're just making money. Go to about
Do you wanna, wait.
Why
do you
are
wanna-
we looking at
Do you
this?
want to take a bet on how long we're gonna
1964.
What are we betting on?
I'm going to bet you 20s.
1920s?
I'm going to bet you 20s. I'll bet,
Okay,
I'll
what
bet
are we
you
betting, man?
27.
Buy me a juice from UFO.
How about you, Drews?
Yeah, I'll go 30s. Oh.
Nah.
1920s. Ben like he geeks for that, man. He fiends it like this old company that's been around for hundreds of years,
Yo,
and they're just
wait.
like,
A fun fact: the first ever CEO of a U.S. Female CEO of a U.S. company was Canadian.
really?
Her name is Bissell, Bissell.
Wow.
And I think they're I think it's a vacuum cleaner company.
So the first female CEO of a U.S. company was Canadian.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
I think
Let's go.
her name is I can't remember her first name, but the name of the company is Bissell, Bissell, I believe.
BISS.
I believe.
That's the name of the company.
Yeah. And if you go to the Wikipedia from, I think she was the CEO in like the early 1920s, and they make vacuum
Oh,
cleaners.
that's crazy. Wow.
I can't remember her name. She wasn't the founder, but it passed down to her.
Bece-
yeah, his wife, Anna.
Melville Bissell developed an early carpet sweeping machine to aid in cleaning the crockery shop he and his wife Anna owned and operated. The device was patented as the Bissell carpet sweeper in 1876. So these guys like invented the vacuum.
Yeah. Think about I
It's
feel
like
like it's
crazy.
crazy that like vacuums, like the early proto vacuums were like 1880s.
Yeah, they're like robots. In 1883, Bissell built the company's first manufacturing plant in Grand Rapids. By the 1890s, the company had an international presence and was producing 1,000 sweepers per day. Melville Bissell died in 1889, and his wife Anna took over as leader of the company. She served as a company president from 1889 to 1919 and chair of the board from 1919 to 1934. Over the years, the company expanded from manufacturing only mechanical sweepers to providing vacuum cleaners and carpet shampooers. Interesting.
That's a funny word.
Yeah. Have you ever used a carpet shampooer?
No, I have not.
No.
But I love those TikTok videos of people cleaning old carpets that use. It's very ASMR.
ASMR carpet shampoo.
Yeah, ASMR carpet cleaning. It's TikTok found apparently I'm the.
Are you on TikTok, man?
Yeah, like it's these videos. Relax and enjoy the soothing.
Oh,
Oh my God.
this is actually kind of nice.
Wow. Look how dirty that rug is. And now it's going to be cleaned.
That's a rug.
Is that a pressure washer?
Something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think
Yeah.
so.
This is awesome, man. He's got like the white tub. Wow. It's crazy because like, they made the rug dirty for this video. Like, cause the core, like in order for this video to bang, the end state of the rug has to be like a nice rug.
Yeah.
So they picked the rug.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
they
yeah,
just
yeah.
covered
Should
it.
I jump ahead?
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
I just want to see the end state. Huh? Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's totally different. Totally different substance we're talking about now.
Listen to the sounds. This is
Mm.
awesome because this is a company, I think,
Yeah,
called
look.
Mountain Rug Cleaning.
Wait,
and,
that's a sick logo.
and this is like they've figured out like that they can,
I
Yeah.
wonder with this, like you're some kind of like local rug cleaning expert in Hampshire. They're in Hampshire, which is in the UK. So you're like this, local rug cleaning expert in like it's like a ish big kind of geographical area, but it's not
Yeah.
that many people. And then you realize you've got this amazing thing on YouTube, and they now have 2 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And that's their business. Like,
Totally.
yeah, this was their business, but like
Yeah.
that's their business.
Now they're
you
making
know?
just YouTube rug cleaning videos.
Yeah.
We got to hop into this tweet.
Yeah.
As much as I love rug
rug.
cleaning. Oh, so in Canada, when we elect a new government, you wrote this. So in Canada, when we elect a new government, it's like bringing a new CEO and leadership team, but leaving the rest of the company intact. This team then gives the rest of the company the public service, its primary mission, and leads it. Our new elected government, Prime Minister, and the cabinet has made Michael Sabia the new clerk of the Privy Council, head of the public service. Is that like head of product?
Yeah. So it's the analogy kind of breaks down, but something like that, or it's kind of like if you imagine you have like a CEO and a C-suite who are taking decision, then you have like a president, and the president is kind of like the day-to-day operational, brings everything together. It's kind of like the president.
Okay, cool.
In some sense.
Yesterday, he released a memo to all public servants and gave them 3 key things to do: focus, simplify, take accountability. Very cool. This is the right attitude. Some things this should translate into: focus. We should see results fast. 2 good examples to watch for are this. Once a project is added to the Building Canada Act, it should be approved within 60 days. We should see significant decreases in stolen exports within 3 months of today. I don't know anything about that. So simplify. Oh, I guess you can riff on that. So simplify. Real spending reductions. There was a massive inflation in both spend and headcount post-COVID. And unlike in the private market, no corrections. See next tweet. Accountability. Specific, clear public success metrics around service delivery so we hold people accountable to outcomes, not process. See Bill Canada's outcomes tracker for what this could look like. So maybe I think we got to scroll down.
Yeah.
No. We'll come back to that. Let's see his second tweet. This is ministers have been directed. This is a Bill Canada post. Ministers have been directed to reduce program spend by 7.5% this year, saving up to 15% by 2028. We can do you one better. We did a first line-by-line analysis. This is more context.
Yeah.
So go down.
Yep.
So open. I think we got to open this one, which you've talked about before on this program. Bill C5 passed on Thursday. one act on internal trade and one act on nation building projects. Remove the internal trade barriers imposed by federal. So this is another update that you're giving. This is a key thing. The Bill C5. Okay. So you're tracking this. You're like tracking what's happening here. Who's being hired? What are they saying? What might that mean? This is what the federal government can do easily, but it's a marginal step. Now needs provinces to do the same. We'll see how many follow suit. This is related to intertrade?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go back and go down. And the letter. Maybe we can have this open on a tab. Okay, cool.
Yep.
You want to riff on this a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. This is an analogy. I'm playing with this idea of analogizing like companies to the government. They're different, but I think it can help to build intuition around this. So it's not precisely like CEO and leadership team with the rest of the company intact, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
You have these MPs that get elected. Some portion of those MPs are selected into the cabinet, and one of them's the prime minister. And they're the kind of governing body of the government. Like that group of people takes the decisions that run the show in some sense. But then you have this very large bureaucracy that actually does the work. Like they are running the passport office, they are running the fisheries, etc., all the different departments of the government. And that's called the public service. I think it's a few 100,000 people, and they have their own internal hierarchy. And at the top of that internal hierarchy is the clerk of the Privy Council. And this person, Michael Sabia, who's been brought in, I don't know much about him. I've just read a few things, but he's like a seasoned public servant. He's done this before, and he is considered to be a tough driving leader in some sense for this bureaucracy. And so he has this letter. It's an internal memo that was released publicly. So it's this is for all of the people who are part of that bureaucracy to tell them what matters. And it's very much, attitudinal. It's you like Toby's memo on AI.
Yeah.
It's like, there's some stuff in there that you can kind of translate into actual actions, but it's more about, no, just generally think about this. This is how you should be like thinking about your job. And so it's kind of like that. And he has these 3 ideas: focus, simplify, and accountability. And so for my riff on this, and I'm terrible.
Maybe we should read the letter or go through it as well.
We can. It's not very long. It's about this length, and I think the 3 ones that I've posted down here are probably kind of the core. And you'll see it's like it's attitudinal language. So if you click on that one, this is like focus. We've got clear priorities. Prime Minister set out our missions. We need to be disciplined, concentrate, tightly focus on priorities, help these become realities faster. It's fluffy, but I do think it relates to real outcomes. And so what I was trying to do with this post is riff on like what are real outcomes that we should see if you're actually going to
I see. I understand.
take these postures.
Yeah, I understand now.
And so
that's why you said the 60-day things. And that's why you also said significant decreases in stolen exports within 3 months of today. So this is like you extrapolating things that they might have promised against this kind of a philosophy.
Exactly.
Right? If you were to do that promise with this kind of a philosophy, here's what you would expect.
Yeah, exactly. And so we've got this Building Canada Act. This is federal coordination to approve major projects so that they can get built very fast. And so, if we're focused and you have a large bureaucracy and you're looking at one project, you should be able to like read all the docs and do all the work within 60 days to say, this project is ready to go.
Totally.
And I just threw these numbers out there. I'm not, this kind of like...
But from your experience, what is the Building Canada Act? Can you like give me a run through of that?
So they had this Bill C5. It's this one. This Bill C5. I think it's a week and a bit ago, something like that. Does 2 things. One part of it, I can't remember the name of the first act, is this internal trade one, and then the second part of it is the Building Canada Act. And so this is a piece of law, we can actually look at it. It's
Yeah,
actually
we
maybe
should pull it
worthwhile
up.
to actually, if you can pull up the Building Canada Act. It's not very long, and maybe useful to show what it looks like. Maybe if you look up Parliament, I can't remember the exact website address, but I think it's that one. And so we want to go to text of the bill, top right.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
So this is Bill C5, which contains these two things. Part 1, which is the Free Trade and Labour Mobility in Canada Act, and then Part 2, which is the Building Canada Act. And so, actually, this is fun. Maybe if we go back one page, there's a process to how a bill like this gets passed.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of first reading, second reading, considered in committee, report, third reading. And they do the House of Commons and the Senate. So the House of Commons is your 300 and I think it's more than 38 now, but 338 MPs who are going to vote on whether or not this bill should pass. And you have a reading of kind of the first language for the bill as presented by whoever's trying to put this bill through. And then you modify it based off of comment and feedback, and then you modify it again, and then you finally get it passed. So the very first reading of this one was on June 6th, and then the third reading was on June 20th.
So where do you see that? Oh, right there, yeah. June 6th. That's interesting. So you can track when the readings have happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And the different versions of the bill are in each of these as well.
Oh, interesting.
I think you can see how the bill changed over time, and some of the comments that were made on it. And so it passes through the House of Commons, and then it passes through the Senate, where this, I do not understand Canadian legal structures of the Commons and the Senate well enough.
Yeah.
Very high level. The most important part is the House of Commons.
Okay.
But the Senate there's usually very little meaningful modification to laws when they go to the Senate. Yeah. So.
Okay. So you can track how it progresses. These bills are discussed in the House of Commons, which is full of MPs,
Mm-hmm.
which are elected.
Yeah.
And they discuss this bill, and you can track it on the website, which is
Mm-hmm.
cool. So there's like a first version of it. There's some back and forth discussion that happens. Then a second version is created, then a third version,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to a point where they all agree, and then they, pass it.
Yeah.
And passing it means that we're going to take this kind of like large government operations that we have of people that have been working there, maybe for a long time, maybe for a short time, and they're going to now enact this bill.
Yes, though the bills themselves are usually just law. So
Okay.
In this case, we can see what the bill is in the text of the bill, and this is basically just a set of like laws, same as like a law that says if you park here, you're going to get a fine, kind of thing. That then can lead to instructions for the public service to act in a certain way or to achieve a certain thing. And so if you go to the Building Canada Act, we can see.
I see. It's not an operational plan.
Yeah.
It's changing the kind of sandbox that we play in a way.
Yeah.
It's changing the rules.
Yeah, exactly. And the rules can lead to operational impacts,
of
but
course.
it's the rule structure.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so the way that you act on those rules could be very flexible, dynamic, creative, right?
Yeah.
But these are new rules.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So how is this document broken down? There's you said it's short, right?
Yeah. So
there's the enactment of the act, short title, definitions. Is there like an outline or a table of contents here? Oh, it's right here.
So this is for the full bill, and we're in
Right.
part 2 with the Building Canada Act. I don't think we need to look at part 1. We can scroll through this very quickly to
Let's
get
go
a
ahead.
high level. So there's this preamble, short title, definitions. A lot of this is, if I'm being honest, like legalese that is not going to be super helpful for understanding it.
Yeah.
I think.
Let's read this purpose.
But yeah.
The purpose of this act is to enhance Canada's prosperity, national security, economic security, national defense, and national autonomy. By ensuring that projects that are in national interest are advanced through an accelerated process that enhances regulatory certainty and investor confidence while protecting the environment and respecting the rights of indigenous peoples. That sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
You're excited by this for sure.
I think my mental model of how these things unfold is politicians say something about the way they want the world to be. Then they enact laws related to what they say the world is going to be. Then those laws start to be operationalized by the public service to actually make the law do the thing that it said it was going to do. Then you have where the rubber meets the road, where the public service is working with the private sector on specific things to actually exist in the world. At any one of those stages, you could fail, right? Like in actually doing the thing.
That's a good point.
This is, I like this because the new government said we are going to figure out a way to fast track major projects and have this approach, which means that they're approved quickly and they allow us to do this kind of purpose. And then we're going to have that in law quickly. We have a law. It happened within a few months of the, maybe it could have happened a little bit faster, but it happened pretty fast within of the government being coming into power. And my read of this is it kind of says they're going to do what they said they were going to do. And this is actually the law now. Now it needs to actually, there's like so much more that has to happen.
Totally.
But but it does mean that there's consistency. Yeah.
Okay, so from that's their purpose. Now they go to national interest projects. National interest. The governor in council may, by order for the purpose of Section 5, define national interest. Okay, criteria in order to promote transparency and predictability. An order under subsection 1 must set out specific criteria that must be met. This is legalese, right?
Yeah, I think.
Where do we get to the meat of this now?
Yeah, so my high level read of this is, if we scroll through, so there's national interest projects. It's going to talk about how you define them and
how do they define them? Oh, right here, factors. In deciding whether to make an order under subsection 1 or 4 in respect of a project, the governor council may consider any fact that the governor in council considers relevant, including the extent to which the project can. Okay, so here's the factors. Mm-hmm. So if it hits on this, it could be a national interest project, right?
Yes, though they've also given themselves the out that like any factor that the governor in council considers relevant is like, they can make it up. Like this is, they're providing...
Sorry, I missed that part. I didn't understand that. The make it up
so
part.
So in respect of a project, the governor in council may consider any factor that the governor in council considers relevant. So
can you explain that to me in like...
Oh, so the governor in council is the government, it's the cabinet and the PMO, and so this is like a cop-out way of saying any factor that the government thinks matters could matter, which is I actually think is fine personally. Like I do think there's always with stuff there's worries about government overreach with these kinds of things.
Why do you think it's a cop-out?
Oh, I don't think it's a cop-out. I mean, I'm being silly. I'm being a little facetious. I think they're just with factors. They basically are saying
we're going to
decide.
Yeah.
Here's some ideas about how we might decide, and if they really go off track and it's got nothing to do with these things, you could take them to court over it because this is written in this document now in this way. But they're kind of saying we're going to decide. This is roughly how we think we're going to decide, but we leave ourselves open to. Oh, maybe something comes up that doesn't quite fall under these things that actually matters,
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Strengthen Canada's autonomy, resilience, and security. Provide economic or other benefits to Canada. Have a high likelihood of successful execution. Have a high likelihood of successful execution. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Advance the interests of Indigenous people and contribute to clean growth and to meeting Canada's objectives with respect to climate change. Clean growth is you're essentially, that's like a fuel source thing, right?
Yeah, I think generally it's a kind of a carbon thing. It's like carbon free.
Okay, cool. Strengthen Canada's autonomy. I know what that means. And resilience and security. Those kind of, they all mean the same thing in a way. That's like saying, if you think of Canada as a system, is the work that you're doing improving the system itself? Is it generative versus extractive? Is it improving this? Is the work improving the system in a way that benefits both the immediate participants and the participants that might come later?
Well, and I think it's is it improving the system's ability to sustain itself?
That's definitely
time?
Here for sure. Resilience.
Yeah.
Right. And security as well as like redundancies in the system. Autonomy means, can the system sustain itself with limited failure points?
Yeah.
Right. Provide economic or other benefits to Canada. Again, is this like generative? Right. Is this something that is making our ecosystem stronger? Is it growing our ecosystem in some way? Have a high likelihood of successful execution. Who's working on the project? What is their track record? What is their ability to pattern match things? What is the plan? Why is this plan effective? What are all the failure points of this plan? Have you considered the failure points of this plan? There are obviously certain projects that have higher probabilities of success than other projects. And so if a project can achieve these objectives here and also has a high likelihood of success, that makes sense. Advance the interests of Indigenous people. I don't know much about that. Contribute to clean growth and to meeting Canada's objectives with respect to climate change. So these are in regards to Indigenous people and in regards to the clean growth, meeting Canada's objectives. These are like some fundamental design attributes. It's like saying there's some fundamental cultural values that we have and a way that we want things to be designed. And so they have to adhere to those values.
Yep.
What else do we got here? So that's the main, that's the bulk of it. So,
So maybe just we can do like a very high level sketch of the whole act because it's pretty short.
Well,
actually.
let me tell you my understanding first. So what I hear from the first part is that we're going to accelerate projects. And then what I hear from the second part is these are the kinds of projects we want to accelerate. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so roughly, maybe we can keep into it, but roughly, I believe, if I remember correctly, the rest of the act goes through, there's what is a national interest project? How are we going to select the national interest projects? How are we going to tell people about the national interest project that we've selected? What's some of the details around how we're going to be careful with our national interest projects? What occurs once something is a national interest project? And then that's kind of it.
So how do we tell people it's a national interest project? What is that part about?
So that part is about it's kind of like the rules for communication. So there's
rules for communication around these projects.
Yeah. So for instance, like the fact that we're reading this bill right now is part of, there was a law passed about the information about bills that had to be given to the public.
So can we go to that section about the communication of national interest projects? How would we find that?
I think it was called publication. They used the word publication there. I just saw it as we were scrolling through. Yes. So
do you want to read this?
So there's the publication and consent, and this is within the definition of a national interest, or the section that's talking about what a national interest project is. And you need a 30-day notice that includes the name and description of a project to be published in the Canada Gazette. I don't know what that is. I presume it's a government newsletter kind of thing. And then must consult with the government of the province or territory in which the project will be carried out and obtain its written consent if the project falls within areas of exclusive provincial or territorial jurisdiction. An aside.
What does that mean?
So this means there's some official mechanism by which, so in Canada, most infrastructure projects are actually provincial decisions. So the province gets to decide how the natural resources are used, how infrastructure is created there, and there's some specific carve-outs for like transportation across provincial lines, things like that. But on the whole, provinces decide. This is essentially we have official communication mechanisms where if we're going to add something to this Building Canada Act, we have to tell the provinces about it.
I see.
And we have to tell through these official communications, and then we need to get their consent. This is one of the key failure points for this whole program.
Interesting.
Is, the federal government, in the way the Constitution is written, can't decide by fiat what's going to happen with major infrastructure projects unless they're in these very specific carve-outs to do with like international transportation or something, unless the provinces agree. And so this whole thing of like, things getting, I think I have this point about focus, things getting approved within 60 days, which I just threw that number out. I didn't really do a work back on it.
Yeah.
One of the key failure points for that would be, well, they can add as many projects as they want, but then the provinces don't kind of like align.
Yeah.
And you need like really detailed and aggressive negotiation and deal making, essentially by the public service as well as by the government to get these things over the line.
Yeah. Interesting. One kind of dumb question is if you're working on a national interest project, then this is how they communicate it, but it's not how you would communicate it.
No. Yeah, these are kind of like, I think my guess, my interpretation, I don't know the legal history of this, but it's probably included in the law how you have to communicate these things, because otherwise
how they have to
communicate it, because it means that this Canada Gazette can now be the official source of record as for this decision to prove that they met their obligations under this.
Got it.
But like when a national interest project is approved, it's probably going to be with some private partner, and that private partner is going to be the actual person putting up most of the money and actually making the project happen. They're going to make a big deal of it. You know what I mean? Like they're going to communicate it in a big way. Probably, depending on the project.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Is there more to explore here?
Not particularly. I think a lot of it is stuff like this where it's providing these like very precise details around it. But yeah, we can definitely look at other pieces, but it's mostly these kind of like little structural legal
so
things.
in the most general sense, this is the Canadian government saying, hey, let's get things moving.
Yes. Right? Yes. Yeah. And specifically, let's get things moving through major infrastructure projects that are nation building, that we can have a specific government focus on to get them unblocked. And there's like good and bad things about that. A good thing about that approach is by centralizing, putting your best people on these things, being really focused on them, you can get really big projects built. You can probably get them built very fast compared to the normal processes. One of the bad things about that is a lot of the problems in our society getting things built are actually about these like really small projects that there's just a weight of rules and problems that are preventing them getting done. Like housing is a great example of this. Like it's not that we need to unblock the one big house builder to build one big house. We need to just allow houses to be built at a high rate. And so this is great, but it doesn't solve those kind of more fundamental system design problems around doing good work every day at kind of a smaller scale.
Yeah. That's really interesting. With these projects, like these national interest projects, who would do them? That might be a...
No. It depends a lot on a per project basis. Yeah. So I think there is currently a proposal we could look up to get the details. I have not read carefully enough, but there is a proposal for an east-west pipeline which would take oil and gas from Alberta to the Atlantic coast.
Yeah.
And I believe that it is being proposed by either a single private company or a consortia of private companies working together. I'm honestly not sure on the details. And there it would just be like this private company or group of private companies has gone to the government and said, we want to do this. It makes economic sense for us. We would make money. Can we do it? And then they're just going to say yes or no. Some of these projects, though, it's not quite, there's going to be a little more government involvement. So one of the things that they amended here as part of this was the Canadian, the act that governs nuclear power in Canada, to say national interest projects could be part of nuclear power stuff. I'm pretty sure all nuclear power is run by government organizations of some kind or another. Maybe they're crown corps, maybe they're actual like government agencies. I don't believe, I'm not 100% certain on this, I don't believe there are any private nuclear actors like doing nuclear power in Canada right now. And so if we were going to expand nuclear power generation, we were going to build like 20 new microreactors or modular nuclear reactors, then that's going to be something a government agency is going to have to run and figure out.
Okay, so you're saying within the kind of range of potential projects, some of them will be done by the state, and then some of them will be done by like private companies. And so these companies would have to conceptualize these projects and pitch them to the Canadian government.
Yeah. Though I assume part of this, what's happening kind of behind closed doors, is that partly the Canadian government is like going to there's only like for some of these projects, there's like 3 companies that could do it. And they're kind of saying to them, by the way, if you were to propose something like this, we would like something like this to happen. You know?
Interesting. So a question I have is, I was thinking a lot about when the state gets involved like this and they kind of like start giving money for projects like this. Like, I bet some of these projects are probably pretty interesting, pretty exciting, and maybe even like lucrative for like a private company. There's like a lot of incentives here, right? And like in Canada, there's not like a lot of stuff to work on. You know what I mean? It's like if you're working on like, let's say like if you want to work on like a cool, amazing project, right? Like, I think there's a limited number of things you can do in Canada right now, right? You go to the US if you want to work on something really like cool and amazing and some futuristic kind of project. But here, the state is saying like, no, we will fund this kind of work. Has this ever happened before? I did some like, it might be very common, but I did some initial research into like Singapore. And I think they did something similar where they kind of, I think I heard this line where when there's no market or something, the state becomes the market. Have you heard anything like this? Have you come across anything like this?
I think, the very high level, I think a common industrial policy approach, so like ways of building industry that you've seen a lot in East and Southeast Asia, including Singapore, South Korea, Japan, is country really want this to exist. There isn't currently a large enough private company that does it, or there isn't large enough like demand for this. So I'm going to like mess with the economics to make it happen. Either I'm going to, subsidize production to the point where I'm producing at a cost competitive. And this is very common in East and Southeast Asia, and it's in China today. There's like different industrial policy mechanisms to make your cars, let's say. The Japan was the first one with cars, often at least is considered the first one with cars. I'm going to make my cars so cheap, even though Americans prefer US cars, my cars kind of do the same thing, and the government helped me to make them super cheap, and so they're now competitive. So now the Americans start buying my cars, and now I have a car industry. And it cost me money up front, but I'm going to recoup that later. And so industrial policy like that, where the government either becomes the buyer or where the government helps to subsidize the industry in some way, is definitely common. I think for the government becoming the buyer, and a really interesting one I'm thinking about at the moment is space. So in space, you might have companies that want to, there's this company Nordspace that is trying to do launches in Canada.
Can we look that up, Tommy? Nordspace?
And
I've heard of them.
I discovered this at the Toronto Tech Week Most Ambitious event, I think.
Yeah.
Of the G7 countries, this is depressing but exciting. Of the G7 countries, Canada is the only one, I hope I'm getting this right, is the only one, I believe, that has no domestic launch capabilities. So what that means is there's no way to get something from Canadian soil into orbit, into space.
The only G7 country?
Yeah.
Who else is in the G7?
So that's US, UK, Germany, Italy.
I guess there's 7 of them.
Yeah.
You're at 5.
Wow, that's embarrassing.
Well, I mean, look at me. I had to ask the question.
Japan and us.
Yeah.
Nordspace.
So I believe we're the only one that doesn't have the ability to get something from Canadian soil into space. Nordspace they're doing a ton of things, but one of the main things is they are solving that. So they're building the ability to
Nice website.
launch. Man, this guy is so cool.
Yeah.
The guy's writing this.
Experience
is so
launch.
Cool. And
3D printed. Go to that. 3D printed liquid rocket engines.
Whoa.
I just like the way that sentence. 3D printed liquid rocket engines. You know?
Yeah.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
Can you go back?
Yeah.
Go to this. There's like a video there.
On the
3D printed liquid rocket engines. Go down.
Yeah.
Experience launch. Let's watch this thing.
Sorry, I'll turn it down.
Oh, this is 3D, right? That
Yeah,
flag
yeah,
is
yeah.
like so nice.
What do you mean?
The most beautiful flag
This
ever.
is real.
This is real. Look at the water.
gonna
It's
be
Lake
real.
Ontario.
It looks just like my backyard.
He was saying that this is in Atlantic Canada, so it's I can't remember exactly where, but I think it's the near St. John's. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the smoke looks so much like the smoke in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, there's probably some similarities in how they render it.
This music bangs. Maiden launch. Canada's first space flight. A new era for Canadians. Nice.
The Canada flag on a rocket actually goes kind of hard.
The Canada flag in general is nice, man. There's a lot of potential.
It's cool. Look at how the camera is like centered on the tip of the leaf here. It's like the leaf itself is the rocket.
It's just launching a fucking maple tree into the sky.
The maple tree in space, bro.
It's just like, we will plant. Like, what's one? It's like, that should be the mission.
The first galactic maple tree. That's pretty sick.
We will get a maple leaf on Mars.
Yo.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't have any domestic launch capabilities,
Yeah.
right? And these guys are doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And solving that.
And so to this idea of like the government being the buyer of last resort or this kind of thing,
Yeah.
sometimes like this is would be potentially a good example of this. Is that the government, these guys are trying to launch something into space. It's going to be very expensive the first time that they do this.
For sure.
And
all the inefficiencies, got to figure out how to do it, build out all the systems. We don't have them.
yeah. And if I were a private company just trying to get something into space, and there's a huge market for like private companies trying to get something into space, I could pay exorbitantly for something that might not work like this,
Yeah.
or I could go to SpaceX and they will put it in space and it's going to be pretty cheap now.
Totally.
And so this is an example where the government might say, it's actually worth it for us to have the optionality of having, domestic space flight. And, whenever a project like this is done, there's like a dozen potential other companies that could be created in the process here, right? Like
Totally.
they might invent like a new kind of engine. They might invent like half a dozen different things. And so the government might say, yeah, this is a space we want to play in. We will promise to be the first buyer of this. It's going to be
Yeah.
expensive, but we want to put something into
Do
space.
they fund the development of it? They would have to, right?
But the best thing to do,
Yeah.
my opinion is the best thing to do is rather than like saying to Nordspace, we'll just give you this big check, we will be the first person to buy your goods.
Yeah.
Because you want them to be a successful private company.
Totally.
But it's hard for them to have that first buyer. So
But
you
how did they get
basically
the
have-
upfront money, Ben, to like put this together?
I think
Like they had Canada at the end of the.
So I don't
video.
think that's the official Canada government logo. I think it's
Oh.
close to. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
I wonder if this
Um,
money. I wonder if this company got. Oh, they're in Markham. Dope.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Right there. Markham, Ontario.
Yo.
I believe that they've had private backers so far, though it says our partners here.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they get like defense tech money and
Government
stuff?
of Canada.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
its
yeah,
continued
yeah.
support. Like, they would have to, man.
Well, I do assume that as part of this becoming reality. Oh yeah, there's a yeah.
Wait, what did you see?
In the picture above we have. No, I was wrong. I thought I recognized some of those faces in small scale, but I was wrong.
It's my bad. Sorry.
No, it's mine. But yeah. Like my assumption is for companies like this,
Yeah.
at the very least, there's like, dozens of laws that you're going to have to interact with to make something like this. Obviously, you're going to be very involved with working with the government to
Totally.
get something like this to work. In terms of their literal funding structure right now, these guys, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, that's fine. Go to company.
Yep. About us, or
Yeah, I think we're already there, right? Are they hiring? Let's go to careers. Maybe I can get a job.
maybe I can get a job.
Do you know that person? He
No.
looks like
No, I don't.
somebody.
He's like signing the rocket
Yeah,
with the
he's
Sharpie.
got to be somebody, man.
Look that he's doing it with the Sharpie.
It's like, so what we did might be so disrespectful to like some icon in like rocket launches. It's like
They're looking
business
for,
development manager, space and defense, electrical hardware engineer, propulsion systems engineer, mechanical design engineer, machinist and shop manager. Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. So we were asking like who does the work? Who does the work? So in some instances you have a company like this, and then Canada says like, hey, we have no launch capability. It'd be cool. We don't know exactly the mechanics here, but it could be cool if there's some way we can support this, right? How else will this work get done? Right?
But
Can we go back to that bill?
Large projects.
Yeah. Like how will this stuff get done?
So the thing I'm
Like-
personally most interested in
Yeah.
right now, in terms of in the steps to get this done, is the deals with the provinces.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is one of the weird things about Canadian federalism that's tough for us, is that the provinces have a lot of power in their areas of jurisdiction. And this would be one of the areas where there's a lot of provincial jurisdiction, also Indigenous groups and the deals with Indigenous groups, because Indigenous people also have a lot of power in this in jurisdiction over projects like this. And so what I'm really interested in terms of the next step for this is, as projects get determined and then added to, like, as this law kind of starts to actually be implemented in some way, what does it look like in terms of getting sign-on from provinces and Indigenous groups? And so for the pipeline, a pipeline from Alberta, so two examples. Let's say that one example is building a next generation nuclear power facility in Ontario.
Yeah.
And then another example is creating a pipeline from Alberta to, I don't know, Halifax or something like that. Creating a next generation power facility in Ontario, to get agreements on this, probably you just need the government of Ontario, because it's within Ontario's borders. You don't need any other province. I think Ontario already has like supply routes for uranium and stuff, and there's already nuclear power plants here. Nuclear power plants take up a very small amount of area, so you can probably find an area where either there aren't major Indigenous people claimants, or If there are, you can sign deals with them that make sense relatively quickly. And so there's probably a way to do a deal like that quickly with single individuals in a way. And that's great, but it's also regional. It's like a specific thing in Ontario that has like benefits to this province in some ways. Then you have a pipeline from Alberta to Halifax. Making up if that actually makes sense as a route, I apologize. But a pipeline across the country, east-west. And in that case, you're now going to have lots of different provinces along the way, potentially lots of different indigenous people with that you'll need to be organizing deals with. And so there's like a lot of stakeholders to align to get something like that done. The potential benefits from it are also more larger for the country as a whole, in that that the economic benefits of that
More integration.
More integration. In that case, it's for export as well. So we're exporting more, and so there's you're getting. That's excellent, and also there's then jobs across all this pipeline across the entire length of the country, and so. But doing a deal with all of those parties, and if you have even one party that's important that like vetoes it for some reason, you have like real problems. That's the stuff that's hard, and it's actually both parts of this bill. I feel this way around the free trade and labor mobility. This is around taking out the interprovincial trade barriers. The federal government, to their credit, they did everything they could do, which is they removed all of the exceptions that they have. They were like, we don't care anymore, just trade between yourselves, but with some minor exceptions, but like roughly. But now it's about the provinces and territories doing the same thing, and because a lot of the power in Canada is delegated down to the provinces, it really matters if the provinces choose to do this or not.
So how can we make that happen? And why are you interested in this problem space? Like, what's interesting about it?
Well, I think what's interesting about it is, one, it's an interesting technical system in some sense, right? It's actually like an interesting set of problems.
Like why?
Well, in the sense that like this document has a particular kind of technical role in this system.
Totally.
And it has a certain kind of technical relationship to what the politicians might say. And then it has a relationship to how the public service operates. And that's actually just at like a kind of like fun problem solving level. It's actually kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's one
for guys like us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for particular people.
Maybe not Tommy.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
But so that's part of it for me. But then the other part of it is, I think that I do not think in Canada government is the answer to all or even most of our problems. But I do think that there are some things that government is in particular position to make meaningful differences on, that I would like to see them make those
like, what do you
differences.
mean?
So whether or not we're going to increase the amount of nuclear power in Ontario, the fastest, most effective route for that in Canada right now is going to be through effective government action. I think it kind of depends a little bit on the markets. Like I could imagine, I'm making this up, but I could imagine that maybe if you were in Nevada and you had connections to VCs and you were interested in this, actually maybe the fastest route to building out more nuclear power in Nevada is actually just starting a company and then getting a ton of money to that company from VCs. Because Nevada's government's relatively simple and they're relatively libertarian, you'll just like go to them and like ask them for certain things, and that's how you'll build it. That could actually be but I think for that specific problem, building out more nuclear power in Ontario at the moment, given where we currently stand, given the realities of how the structure is, I think government first action is probably the best way to get it done. Though government first action might also include I don't know this area well enough, but it might include creating more nuclear power startups in Ontario as part of that. And so I think there's a class of problems like that in Canada that I'm interested in solving. And so I think housing is one of those. Energy is one. It's the same list that we talked about.
Those are problems. You're interested in problems where the most effective action is through government act. The most effective the best way to approach it is through government action.
Both. Yeah, so I'd say they're both problems I'm interested in solving because I think they're valuable for our society to solve them.
Yes. And because of that,
and I think the government is the best way to solve them.
Cool.
I can give you an example of one where, for me personally, I'm really interested in the problem space, but I don't know that government is the right way to solve it, which is education. I'm very interested and excited in what we can do to improve education. I'm not convinced that the highest leverage, most interesting work there right now is in government.
Yeah.
That's me personally.
So when you say like government action, you mean like playing with the broader system. So it could be like changing the conditions of the broader environment, that the rules of the environment, and that might result in some government projects being done. That might involve in like startups being created. It's when the you're interested in how we can make positive human impact, positive impact on our society by changing the kind of rules of the game and the environment, right? Interesting. Yeah, it is very interesting. Yeah. It's very high impact.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but you're particularly interested in these kinds of projects where there's like where we need to break through inter-province relations, because that's kind of like a unique like system problem that we're in right now, where it's like we could be implementing kind of like interesting and compelling and impactful solutions, but we're kind of limited by the amount of like the rules of the game, right? It's like you mentioned, like if you're trying to create some piece of infrastructure that goes across multiple provinces, if one of the provinces doesn't agree to it, it's like not going to happen, right? And so what have you learned so far about like how to actually break through that? I guess we're gonna have to like see how it happens in real time, right? Because right now you have like these provinces which are their own independent systems, and they have their own rules, they have their own philosophies, their own cultural makeup, their own people there, their own industries, their own amount of money, all that kind of stuff. And then at the top level, you've got like a broader system, like a broader system administrator or something. And that broader system administrator doesn't have complete control of each one of the provinces. It can't just like go into the province and thing. But so what control does it have?
So we can actually pull this up. It's in the Canadian Constitution. This is from the 1867 document, this division of powers. The
division of powers.
Oh, I can't. No, I think that's a U.S. phrase. I apologize. It's the area. I can't remember the Canadian phrase. It's like the areas of responsibility or the jurisdictions of responsibility in Canada.
Who can do what, man?
Yeah.
Who can do what, man? Document.
Yeah.
Like this.
There's a particular phrase where maybe if you go up to the division.
Should we go to like Grok 4 for this?
Not right now. But I think okay. Well, this is good enough. This is it. So it's basically that these were outlined as to the specific areas of responsibility for the federal government and then the provincial governments.
Okay.
So the federal government is fully responsible for defense, armed forces, makes sense. Foreign policy, so how Canada interacts with.
I feel like you should read that first paragraph.
So Canada's areas of responsibility are divided between the federal and provincial / territorial governments as outlined in the Constitution Act 1867. So this was one of the key system design decisions that was taken about how Canada would be organized very early on. One of the key things that they were thinking about very early on that has changed very rapidly in Canada's history is Canada was huge. Like they were like
massive land.
This is crazy. They were like, how big is this thing?
Second biggest country in the world.
Yeah. And in 1867, when this act was put in place, we didn't even have a railway across it, and there was no like mass media. So like when you were thinking about, oh, in BC they're doing this, and in Toronto they're doing this, like it took a long time to tell people in BC and Toronto, or Ontario, what was happening in the other side of the country. So there was this sense that, oh, I don't even know how I'm going to manage this. This is crazy. It's like so large. Part of this was to begin to manage it federally via this railway. And so when you think about how they divided this, they took their systems decision. And an important question for us is like,
this makes so much sense now.
Now we have mass media. And so maybe we could make these decisions in a more coordinated way across this whole landmass, but we couldn't.
So much sense. So they gave the provinces autonomy because it was difficult to communicate with them. Holy shit. That makes a lot of sense, actually. But it's so dumb now. That's really interesting. Good luck taking away people's autonomy, man.
And the way it's written, the way that the Constitution Act was written, you need I can't remember, it's like a supermajority or maybe it's a full unanimity, I'm not quite sure, but you need either the vast majority or maybe all provinces to agree if you're going to update this list.
That's so fucking hard.
Well, so they have done it in the past. I was looking this up recently. They have done it in the past. So during the Great Depression in 1930s, they did it to give the federal government responsibility for employment insurance. So for unemployment insurance, that would be something that under this originally would be a provincial thing, but it was such a terrible moment. It was such a terrible situation that they did in fact say, oh, employment insurance should be given at the federal level.
I feel like
so it is possible.
Every time I look, when I look into these things, what I keep finding, a pattern I keep finding is people only coordinate when they're fucked. That's like seems to be the common pattern. It's like, it's like things have to be super bad. And until they're not really, really bad, they kind of move as like, well, I don't know. That's your situation, man. That's not my situation. Like, it's gotta be bad for once it's bad for everybody. It's like, we need to make things worse in Canada. That's the way to get to this like, we got to make it bad. Like, people need, like, if you're working on a startup right now,
Stop.
you should try. Yeah, stop. Like, stop down.
Quit.
Yeah, quit. Try to make less money.
Have you read Atlas Shrugged?
Nah, people keep telling me to read it.
I don't think
Ayn Rand?
Ayn Rand, yeah. Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand, sorry.
I won't. I mean, if you never read it, you should maybe just like read it, and I won't spoil it. It's so good.
I'll read it. People keep telling me to read it. It's like like that book has been given to me like on my birthday and stuff like that from friends, and they're like, "You need to read this book." I'm like, "Okay."
It's my 2 cents on Ayn Rand is people give Ayn Rand a lot of crap for not being the world's greatest philosopher, and yeah, like her philosophy is pretty shallow sometimes, but her books are actually like really good. They are very philosophical in that she has like a point to make. And so that can be annoying sometimes, especially with a 1,000-page book of like, I'm just being hit over the head with this point repeatedly.
Yeah.
But she is actually very compelling in telling you this point. And in particular, she has, it's like classic mythological style, like good versus evil.
Yeah.
And her heroes are kind of flat, to be honest, like most of the time.
Sucks.
But man, but
Point's compelling though, man.
You're basically saying like everything that makes a good book, this book does not have, but man, is it good.
Wait, no, I think there are some good things that it has. So two things it does exceptionally well. Thing one, incredible villains.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the villains
That's
are
cool.
amazing. And so even though you aren't like super compelled by the heroes, you're like, I really want them to win.
Really?
Yeah. And so the villains are super compelling. And then the second thing about it that's really good is her descriptions of industry, landscape, these kind of brute facts of the economy are actually really cool. Like if you like things like, if you're the kind of person who's like, trains are the best, her description of trains, great.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll read it. You've told me to read it a couple times.
Me?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I first met you, kept talking about trains, and then you were like, "Hey, this is a good book." That's interesting though. That if you can't create, like, if it's hard to create a compelling hero, you can just create like a compelling villain. I feel like it's probably way more fun to write villains than it is to write heroes. It's kind of hard to write a hero. Maybe it's easy. Maybe it's easy to write a hero once you write a really good villain.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? Because the hero just has to, like, you know, overcome the darkness, their own darkness. They have to face the villain. So much of, like, I guess so much of, like, writing a good hero is just, like, writing an effective villain. Because the villain is a representation of the hero's demons in a way. Right? And so if you... And in general, too, it's like, I guess, like, even in just going through day-to-day life, like, I feel like the darkness of ourselves is so much more, like, nuanced and understood than, like, the light of ourselves. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like it's the Tolstoy principle. All happy families are alike.
What is that?
Oh, the Tolstoy principle.
Can you pull it?
And it's the opening line to Anna Karenina, and it's
Opening principle.
It's I think it's just called the Tolstoy principle.
Tolstoy Principles of Canada.
He's got principles of Canada.
So say okay, I was wrong. I think maybe Tolstoy, Anna Karenina, families. Yeah.
Leo Tolstoy, hasn't he written like a ton of famous books?
Yeah, incredible. I would recommend Tolstoy before Ayn Rand for sure.
Oh damn.
But yeah, the opening line to Anna Karenina, all happy
like,
families.
Oh damn! Like I don't know either. Like, oh damn! You put Tolstoy over Ayn Rand.
Oh, damn.
That's crazy.
This is not a crazy opinion.
Yeah, no, he's like an iconic writer.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I don't know. But he wrote one book about. Did he write that book about that guy that died?
The death of Ivan Ilyich.
Yeah.
Ivan Ilyich?
He wrote that, right?
Yeah.
What? I'm reading a bit of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm working through it, man.
To the villain's point, the opening line of Anna Karenina is all happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
So all unhappy families are alike?
All happy families are alike.
Oh.
Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
Exactly.
And there is this way that like it's very hard to tell a good story about something that is good because it doesn't have the conflict, the difficulty,
No,
the
it's in
tragedy.
balance.
Contrast.
Yeah.
It's in balance. You know, it's like when you're good, you're in balance. And when you're not, you're off for a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone wronged you or something happened to you, right? It's interesting. I don't know. Damn. It's fun being a villain. I don't know, man.
Nobody said you were a villain.
All right, where were we, man? Where are we in this? Oh, the Constitution Act,
yeah.
1867.
So I'm interested in this partly because I haven't seen it play out and I don't understand it very well at all personally.
Yeah.
And I know that it's going to be a huge outcome. It's going to be a huge part of whether or not we get good outcomes in the
100%,
next 10, 20
totally,
years.
Absolutely.
And so I'm interested to see how this plays out with the feds and the province because clearly the feds have changed direction in a big way about how they want to act. This Building Canada Act has like the potential to have really big impacts on the country.
I totally understand.
And I don't know
man.
how the provinces are what are the provinces going to do?
That makes a lot of sense. This is really exciting. So we have this like way that in Canada, it seems like we have this way that we divided work and divided the way we would handle things. And all of those decisions were based on a technical infrastructure, a technology that is not the technology we have today. And these are like rules around how you can like work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't updated these rules. So obviously it's interesting to think what would happen if we updated these rules because you would just have like, yeah, you could just use you're just building on top of the modern world.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. The only examples I've seen are when things get really bad. There's examples like if you look at like Africa or some other places where they're kind of like making the decisions that Canada would have made in 1867, but they're making them now. And so what happens is because they make them now, they immediately adopt the latest technology stack, right? So they'll use particular kinds of phones. They'll build banking into those kinds of phones. If crypto serves them, they'll use that. And it makes a huge difference. because like the certain crypto technologies could be far more sophisticated and stable than their existing banking infrastructure, right? And so it's interesting. Are there any examples of like countries that have been able to enact different like have been able to update their operational processes to something more futuristic without having been completely fucked as a country? Like, is that, you want to, Tommy, you want to look this up?
Yeah, you want me to use those exact words?
You can update them. Completely down and out or something?
Would you prefer Claude or GPT?
Let's do Claude.
So on the
Grok 4.
on the whole, I would say, in general, on not totally, but on the whole, and not in every domain, but on the whole, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to wait until we get this list. I don't feel confident in what I was about to say.
Well, just say it, man. Nothing bad's going to happen. Just say it. No, you have to say it now. You can't read this. You have to
okay.
say
So what I was going to say is, I think on the whole, you have two rough legal systems. You have the civil law system, and then you have the common law system. The civil law system sets out a particular set of rules for how this is. Lawyers would hate this description, but the civil law is kind of, it's more rules based in the way that it operates. It's like, okay, here are the set of rules for the country. We're gonna just run this set of rules.
Yeah.
And then the common law system is more like precedent based, where there are rules that are set down for the country, like the one that we just kind of read. But also there's like all these court decisions that happen, and the court decisions imply like what you mean by the rules and so on and so forth. On the whole, I'd say the common law system has proven to be very flexible over time. And so the UK is an example of there has not been a refounding of the UK from a constitutional structure systems description level, basically in modernity. Like it's just continually updated. And there's a bunch of like, junk DNA in there. There's a bunch of stuff in there where like there are rules on the books, which you don't even, why is that rule on the book? It doesn't make any sense. And like maybe people like forgot that was a law and they just don't do it anymore. And if it came up, then a court would say, oh no, I don't really believe in this anymore. Like this rule doesn't count, that kind of thing. But on the whole, it's been able to update like that. However, I don't know of like super specific examples, but I know that the thing with the civil law is they're more able compared to common law on the whole to when you need like a big shift. So, okay, we've got, we've had this constitution in Canada that was kind of laid down and doesn't, let's say if we think it doesn't make sense on some particular front, we can just create a new system, put that in place because that's the kind of rules-based order that you are kind of used to. So the common law just naturally evolves to some degree into a direction that works well enough. And then civil law, you need to actually like write new rules once in a while. This is a very, very loose definition because I'd also say it seems to be the case common law is very bad at getting people to build houses.
We're learning together, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so
pull this up.
You got something for us?
Yeah.
All right. So yes, there are several compelling examples of countries that achieve fundamental transformation during periods of prosperity and stability. I wouldn't say we're in a period of prosperity and stability, but stability for sure. Denmark, 1990s to the 2000s, transformed their entire welfare and labor market system through the flexicurity model while maintaining one of the world's highest standards of living. They fundamentally restructured how employment, benefits, job training, and labor mobility worked, creating a more dynamic economy without social crisis driving the change.
Tour guide.
Singapore, you want to say it?
Yeah. So just quickly scanning this list, I think Singapore, South Korea, Estonia actually aren't examples of what we're describing because in all three of those cases, they did just come out of a crisis.
Yeah.
Like that, it was a high urgency moment.
Give this to ChatGPT as well, just as a test.
Copy that.
Denmark, I've never heard this example before. Canada 1960s to 70s is an interesting one because it was a period of profound transformation. It starts with Pearson, really solidified under first Pierre Trudeau. And so, we get bilingualism, healthcare, the flag, the anthem, the armed forces as like defined in the way that the armed forces is now defined, as well as there's a new cultural identity actually that forms at this period around bilingualism, multiculturalism, and these kinds of things. But I feel like what you're talking about with things happening with high urgency and a moment of crisis is more about like particular kinds of effective outcome in the world happening. This was more about like changing the kind of conversations we had around important kind of like cultural
like
things.
These examples you mean?
Yeah, the Canada one.
Oh, yeah.
It was like we changed a lot of cultural things that if I'm being honest, I don't know, they were kind of like semi-neutral. They were like neutral when it came to like actual system design.
Yeah, I agree with that. So did you find the ChatGPT?
Yeah, I do. Should I update the...
I totally understand what you're saying, Ben. Okay.
Some of the examples are the same.
There are countries that undergone. So Singapore, we know, did go through a rough period, right?
Yeah.
They had separation from Malaysia, early existential challenges. I mean, that's pretty existential. So Estonia, post-independence from Soviet Union, Estonia wasn't in collapse, but it was underdeveloped. So they were coming out of a tough thing. South Korea, while poor in the 19th, so again, New Zealand, facing stagnation, but not collapse. New Zealand undertook deep public sector reform known as Rogernomics, cutting subsidies, privatizing state enterprises, creating one of the world's most efficient public services. This might be an interesting example to look into. It's over a 6-year period. One thing I just want to say as we're looking this up. So I stopped drinking coffee, right? So I'm on day 4. This is the first time I've done one of these without coffee. And I looked in and I was like, because I started feeling like clear in my thoughts. And even now, like I feel like so much clarity. Like I feel like I have such an advantage over you because I'm not drinking coffee. And so I I kind of looked up like who else has like started drinking coffee and stopped drinking coffee. I asked like an LLM, right? And one of the guys was like David Lynch, who's like the filmmaker. I'm like, this is fucking dope. Like his whole life was dedicated to the creative process. Like this is what it's about. This is what I want to be. And he like was very like advocate. He was really into meditation, like transcendental meditation. I read his book, Catching the Big Fish. I listen to it all the time on audiobook. He narrates it. He kind of laughs at a certain point and just keeps going. It's just fucking dope ass book for me, right? And like, I like meditation. I come from a family, like my parents meditate. And like this guy's talking about making these fucking surrealist films and meditation. Like it's like the best, right? And so he doesn't drink coffee. And so I'm like, I want to be like that. And then my friend looked like the next day. I was like, really? David Lynch doesn't drink coffee? And he looked it up. Turns out he drinks like 20 cups of coffee a day. like at minimum, he has like 10 or something. He has his own coffee line. There's an interview with him where he said he had his first coffee at 3. like David Lynch loves coffee. He's famously passionate about it. In fact, he drinks multiple coffees a day and often talks about it as part of his creative process. He even launched his own brand, the David Lynch Signature Cup Coffee. Coffee is a recurring motif in his work, most notably in Twin Peaks, where Agent Dale Cooper is obsessed with a damn fine cup of coffee. I'm dying, man. I'm dying. It's been 4 days. I'm fucking dying. I've lost like my main reason for doing this. And it's not even like, oh, he like drinks coffee. It's like he's fucking like, there's nobody that loves coffee more than this guy. Damn. But the LLM told me he was on the list. And so I was like, oh, great. It's just interesting with LLMs.
Yeah,
the main thing I think with LLMs on this at the moment is I think that we saw it when there was that period where ChatGPT was super sycophantic and it was like, you're the smartest person I've ever met kind of thing, is that I actually think that was a presentation of an essential quality of LLMs to some degree. Like, I feel like an essential quality of it is something to do with the prompt contains all of the seed information.
Right.
Right? Like, all of the...
You mean the references?
No, there's like... it's just predicting... Fundamentally, it's predicting the next most likely word to occur.
Yeah.
And there's a way that the way that you structure the prompt
Completely changes.
It completely defines what like the prediction for the next most likely word. And so there's something there about, like, if you were to ask who are famous creatives who don't drink coffee, it can't surprise you. You know, it can't be like, I'm actually not going to answer that question precisely. Did you know David Lynch is a really famous coffee drinker and actually loves drinking coffee? It can't predict that that's the likely thing to come from it in some sense. Maybe it can. I don't think it currently can, at least. And so I feel like with things, that's one of the common causes of hallucination is that, like, and this is actually a great example of it. Yeah. Countries that have fundamentally reformed themselves, Singapore, Estonia, South Korea, I'm thinking about, like, that's the classic list, that haven't experienced this crisis. I can say they haven't experienced a crisis. Yeah. When actually that's like, you know, like precise. Totally. Yeah.
But it's fucked up because, like, I read the David Lynch thing and I made a decision based on that information. Like, I was like, I'm going to stop drinking coffee. And it's like, I just didn't like, I don't know, throw it into a different model or something, you know, and like just try it out. And so it's really like kind of like shocking, or it's like jarring or something, man, where it's like, where you're making a life decision and then somebody's like, what? Let me look that up. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's that much of an opposite. Like, it's just interesting. Like, I guess it reveals like how much we do in life that could be just because of some random thing somebody said that you hold in like high regard, you know, some like mentor or something. And they're just like, well, you know, whatever it is, like, there's all these, I don't know, they might say a specific thing and you like, I don't know, take a specific life path. Someone says to you, hey, you're really good at that. You know, you're really good at thinking that way. And just because they said that, you like go down a particular path. It's really interesting. It's so much of how valuable information is has to do with, I think, how much we internalize it, you know, maybe more than if it's like correct.
I was thinking about this morning that there's this idea that you can just choose to be happy.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And I was like, that's very true. I've experienced that that's true. It's one of perhaps the most profound, important pieces of information you could possibly have, is that you could just choose to be happy. But I'm even afraid to say it because it sounds so trite and it sounds like such a useless piece of information. And like you either like reject it or you don't really hear it when it's said, or like, you know, and it's this receptivity thing. Yeah,
it's receptivity, but it's also like timing.
Yeah.
Like, if your friend says a particular thing to you and you just like, wait a moment, and at the right exact moment, at the right exact time, you're like, choose to be happy, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it can hit, right? It's like
it's like jazz. Yeah.
It can hit. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Sorry. Like we took a left
crazy
turn.
Philosophy.
New Zealand.
New Zealand one could be really interesting. The Denmark one could be really interesting.
I thought you were bringing up the thing because maybe New Zealand. Oh no, you brought it up because
I brought up the David Lynch thing because
I took
Ben made a good point about. No, you didn't. I'm just playing around. I'm just trying to be funny.
It could have been how I phrased the question.
Yeah, the reason I said the David Lynch thing was because Ben pointed out in the previous list that like those aren't actually really good examples of countries that have been countries that have been like turned around during a stable period. Let's go down for a sec though.
Yeah. Wait, should I read?
Sorry, Ben. I didn't mean to.
No.
I was just trying to be funny. At your expense. Rwanda, post-genocide. Like, come on, man. Facing stagnation but not collapse. Okay, go down.
Maybe it's how I phrased the question.
Maybe. Well, let's see how you phrased it.
I said, are there any examples of countries that were able to significantly update their operational processes
without coming? Oh, okay. So what we need to say is that, okay, wait. Go to that. Just ask a follow-up question.
Yeah.
And so we got to start using whisper flow. But what we should say here is we should say a pattern that I'm noticing is that it seems like many countries are able to achieve large-scale cooperation for the purpose of fundamental transformation when things are really bad. But I'm looking for examples where this happened when things weren't really bad. Yeah.
That's a very sharp observation.
I'd say so. Most sweeping transformations are crisis-driven because crises tend to override resistance-aligned stakeholders and create political urgencies. Crises. That's the word I'm looking for. Crisis-driven. We're in a crisis in Canada, but we're not. Are we? You know what I mean?
It's
Like we're kind of chilling.
So there's this
Like there's.
I think you need to have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, sorry, man. There's like alphas. It's good here, man.
Got Mandarin. No.
We got Mandarin, man. It's good. Like, after this, we're gonna get like a nice sandwich. You know,
It's not that bad.
it's not a crisis, man. We're not dying. We need to be dying. Yeah, sorry. Were you gonna say something?
I was thinking.
there's something really. Again, it's gonna be a
We're
left
back
hand. This
to
is a
this
left. Yeah, I have a left hand, but I want to
Yeah,
come
please.
back to it.
Turn us away.
There's something about urgency and coordination and cooperation and this crisis thing that is really interesting for thinking about how do you do stuff repeatedly well. One of the things that you hear when Singapore is still working really hard. Like it's still happening that their quality of life is getting better at a very fast rate. It's still the case that their government seems to work exceptionally well. And one of the things that comes up all the time when you talk to Singaporeans is that they feel a sense of existential dread and urgency. Like even now, richest country in Southeast Asia by a very long way, quality of life is amazing. Even people who grew up in the last 20 years, when that was true, or last 30 years, there's this like sense that they are like on the edge, and they actually don't like it. Like they feel quite stressed out
In
about
China?
it. No, in Singapore.
Oh,
in
really?
Singapore. Yeah, in Singapore. Yeah.
On the edge?
They feel like they're like they
still have that kind of like we need to survive mentality.
Yeah. And you know, I don't want to be like too chalk this up to like cultural things like that, but I think there's something to do with that is essential to why even younger Singaporeans who've grown up in a rich, very fast growing country still have certain kinds of high urgency focused cooperation around making the country better. And so that's one thing I think about with this like urgency thing. But then the second thing,
foundational culture.
and one thing I think
That's a
about
good point.
for this, one more thing on Singapore is there was this recent speech that I watched from the Singaporean leader. It was after Trump announced the tariffs, like the global tariffs, and it was a really good speech. And in it, the key cultural reference he made was to this idea that we will, I can't remember the exact language he used, I'm going to kind of butcher
That's
this,
okay.
but he said something like, we will defend our little red dot, which is this phrase that's used to describe Singapore, the little red dot. And you could hear it in his voice as he said it. That phrase just hits in Singapore, this like the little red dot. And
Like, don't fuck with us. Like, even though we're small, even though things have happened to us, do not fuck with us. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like underdog mentality.
Yeah. And there's this idea about root Canadian culture from Northrop Frye that is around like it. You know, it's not all positive in the way that he describes it. That you know, the first Canadians when they got here faced a country that is unbearably inhospitable. Like half of the year, if you go outside with and you don't have heating, you're going to die. The other half of the year, if you're in a swamp and the bugs are going to kill you, and it sucks. Like it's really tough.
Yeah.
And that there's some kind of root cultural desire there to like terraform this space to make it nice, to literally build these major pieces of infrastructure that'll make or houses, etc., to make the space like a nicer space to live in, and some kind of root there around community, like cooperation and resourcefulness in order to hold back the nature that's trying to get you. And I wonder if in this similar way that there's some kind of deep cultural memory of we're on the edge of being wiped off the map with our little red dot, that you can draw on even for people who've never experienced it. They've never experienced that in their life. If there's some kind of deep cultural memory that you kind of get access to if you just walk outside in February, you know, that you can like draw on in some ways.
I think like what you're talking about is the idea that conflict and struggle is a universal feeling and it can be expressed through different kinds of narratives. I think that's true. I think if you watch, what's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Revenant? That's kind of what that's about.
Oh yeah,
right?
the bad.
Where he's just like just trying to survive in the wilderness, and this is actually kind of like similar to a movie like Rocky, right? Where it's like, you know, it's like a character persevering through things, and I don't know, maybe it's not exactly the same, but it's like you know, a character trying to overcome a situation, right? That's like very, very difficult, expressed in two different narrative worlds, right? I think for me, it's like when my parents came here, my dad went to high school here, and like, you know, my parents are immigrants and I was born here in North York. What I saw like across cultures, like whether it was like Indian, Vietnamese, Chinese, whatever it was, it's like, I saw people that were working hard to like make it, to like become something greater than what they were when they arrived here, in all different ways. I saw people that had to like re-architect themselves, their identities. Maybe they were like some really successful, high status person where they came, and then they come here and they're like driving a cab or something. I've seen like a lot of like, I saw that so much growing up. Personal transformation. Like it was all I saw constantly. Everywhere I would look, I saw that. And so that's when I think about like Canada and culture, that's what I know. It's not like, for me, it's, I'm born in North York, man. Like I don't know shit about the woods. You know what I mean? But like I know about like these plazas, you know, and I know about like the kinds of families and stuff, and like I know what it's like to grow up, and like I've seen like different this like area in different stages. That I know, and that I know there's like real people that have worked hard. I think what we fucked up is the fact that now, at least my experience of Canada, which is in Ontario and the Greater Toronto Area, it's just not a good deal. That's the issue. The issue is not that there's like people here that, you know, a lot of people talk about like immigrants and stuff like that. And it bothers me a lot because they talk about it in this way that's like, it lacks so much fucking nuance. It has no nuance in it. They're just like, oh, there's like more immigrants coming in. It's like, yeah, of course, if you have a system and your fundamental basics of your system don't make any sense, and now you're loading it with more people on a fundamentally broken system, of course, it's any system. Your system is failing and you're increasing the load on the system, and you're saying like, fuck the people that are coming in. It doesn't make any sense. What about the system? What about the way that it's designed? Who made these fucking decisions? Like how did this happen? That's what you got to focus on. Right.
Totally.
And so the thing is that when we're looking at all of this kind of stuff. It's like the problem now is like we haven't lost that cultural value. We haven't lost those people. What's happened is the people are leaving, and people are like trying to complaining because the fundamental deal doesn't make any sense.
Totally.
It doesn't make any sense. It did make sense before. That's why when I grew up, I saw transformation. That's why I saw that, because the deal made sense. Right? Yeah. People would come here. They would work really, really, really fucking hard. That's what I saw. I saw people working ridiculously hard. My whole family was working ridiculously hard. I remember that. You know, my aunt, my mom's sister, she bought a house in Canada off working at KFC. And I vividly remember as a kid watching her thinking, oh my God, she works so hard. Like, you know what I mean? She's working like multiple shifts. She's just always working because she was like, that's her angle. That's how she's going to figure it out. She's just going to like grind it out, sacrifice as much as possible. Right. And I think like that's the reality of, in my opinion, that is Canadian culture. You have to look at that, you know, and you have to create from that. Right. Yeah. And like, that like we can't not look at those things. We can't not look at them. You can't just, I understand that there's like over immigration and stuff like that, but we can't, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like we can't let us take away from the fundamentals of what this country is, like what this, you know what I mean? What this province is. And that's what it is. It's that you come to this place. It's a beautiful place where cultures mix together, where we respect each other's cultures. We learn from each other's cultures. If you go to a plaza here, you see it. There is no like segmentation. Just go to the fucking plaza. It's integrated by design. The Vietnamese place is right beside the Indian place. It's right there in front of your eyes. It's there, man. It's all integrating and it's working. But we got to make the deal make sense, man. Like we got to make the fucking fundamentals make sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyways, yeah, just a riff in there. Sorry, because I was thinking about the woods, right? And I'm saying like it's okay for us to just like we are, a lot of stuff here already works really well, you know, and yeah, that I hope, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's important to me, obviously. Yeah, I don't even know where we are now. How did we get to that? Does anybody remember?
The little red dot.
The little red dot. Thanks, Tommy. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think like that it's weird too, because in Canada, it's always a weird thing because I'll say the word Canada and I don't even know what Canada is. I don't know Canada. You know, how would I know Canada? I know this area very well. You know what I mean? Yeah. Very well. Yeah. Sometimes, because I've become so dependent on a GPS, because I started using a GPS when I was like young. Mm-hmm. I was like early adopter of technology. So this is kind of embarrassing, but one of the technologies that I adopted was this thing called the TomTom. You know, right?
I remember the TomTom.
Yeah. And so like I was like really early with GPS and it was great. Yeah, I just had this. So what would happen is you would buy these things and you would put it in your car or whatever.
Oh, this?
Yeah. And so I had this and, so I became really dependent on this, but, and I'd be driving around and stuff. And like, so what's happened is like, I can drive around here really well, but I second guess my awareness of where I'm going. Because I'm always so used to looking at a GPS now. It's really bad. But I do know, like, still, like, even sometimes when I think I don't know where I'm going, I'll just, like, because I've all these roads and these streets and these highways is, like, all I really know. Because, like, this is, like, most of my life has been spent here. So it's interesting when I say, like, Canada, it's, like, there's, like, if you go out to, like, Halifax or something like that, I've never even been there. And I think it's so different than like what's happening here, you know? If you go to like Montreal, maybe it's similar in some way to what's happening here. If you go to like Saskatchewan or something, like it's not, I know it's not going to be like what it is here. And so that's another weird thing about this. And I really liked what you said about how the country is so big that the reason, like, you can look at these like interprovincial trade barriers and you can be like, this country's so dumb. Why are we doing that? Which is what I was doing. But it's really like, of course somebody made that decision for a reason. Right. And like, it's just really cool when you find out a fact like that, when it's like, no, actually the reason it's there is because there was a valid reason for this. Like, it wasn't just some idiot shit. There was a reason. It was like hard to communicate across these like barriers. And so now the real challenge is that we're in a rapidly changing world and we have to shift away from that. And that's hard to do. That's like more understandable to me. That's more real, you know, versus fuck, we're trying to make trades and like, you know, we can't figure out why. That's why I think like this information and looking into the history of things is like so important. But still, I think it's hard to look at the realities of Canada because it's so easy to view it through your local maximum, your local environment. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, man. So riff. But I think that, yeah, in the same way I'm saying with like looking at the plazas or the little red dot or Singapore or mining your own experiences about what matters to you and why, or going to Halifax, exploring these places, seeing them for yourself, you know, going to like these different areas, even if it doesn't make sense, just exploring your country, I think is like really useful in terms of like designing effective solutions, right? Because I think the more you look at the actual reality of it and question whether you actually understand what is in front of you, I think is like, especially right now, like particularly important. Because if we're going to work on things and if we're going to like form an understanding of what's happening in this country, in our provinces, in our cities, it's important to like be informed with real information that's coming from like the direct sources, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's really, really, really important. And I think it's dangerous to not do that. It's dangerous because if you have ineffective information, you cannot you can't design good solutions. If you have ineffective information or the wrong information, you're blind every day. You're walking by and saying like, hey, you know, like this sucks or that sucks or whatever. And I don't know, maybe it's all because of you're viewing it a particular way. And maybe that view of it is not even correct.
100%. Man, here's a crazy statistic I think about all the time now. The average American, let's say Canadian too, it's probably very similar, spends 7 hours a day of screen time.
The average Canadian?
The metric is American, but I assume it's very similar for Canadians. It's 7 hours a day of screen time. So that's half of their waking life. And
holy shit.
One of the main things I think about with screens now is this is ideas about the real world.
What do you mean?
This is there's the real world in its full level of depth and participation and its 3D structure and its taste and its smell and its history and like the full context of what's happening in the real world. And then this is some very specific slice that is our ideas about that specific slice. Like this is a diagram. This is a set of words. Like these are ideas about that thing. And so what we're doing is we're spending half of our lives manipulating either other people's ideas about the real world or our own ideas about about the real world without interacting with the real world.
Yeah.
And so having that kind of first, that means we need to get way better at doing that, like figuring out how to get to really good stuff through the ideas that we're interacting with in this kind of digital or screen-based space. But then also, I feel like you got to spend time just walking. You got to spend time like interacting with, go to the library, find a book, you know,
get outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. And also it's interesting too, because like when you're posting online, when you post something that it's like, I know you post photos every day, which is awesome. Like you walk around, try to find something to capture and you take a photo of it and you say like, today's a beautiful day, right? And I know like Tommy like posts photos of like food or different adventures. I do too. But it's interesting that when I see that kind of stuff on the timeline, it's so interesting. It reminds you that you're like, Oh yeah, there's like a real world, and I am just manipulating a screen and like some random ideas. That's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to forget that. Damn.
There's this it's some of my favorite posts are like this. There's also this guy Dylan O'Sullivan, who he posts like quotes from books by like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky and philosophers and stuff. Yeah. I know we've talked about him, Tommy. And basically every day, once a day, he'll post, if you went for a walk, it would solve all of your problems.
Damn.
And I think I love that shows up on my timeline once in a while. I'm like, you're right.
100%.
I should be walking right now.
You have to choose to be happy.
Yeah.
Let's wrap. You cool with that? Yeah. Okay, cool. Choose to be happy, ladies and gentlemen.
Happiness is yours to discover.
I love you. Damn. Sorry, man. I got a little worked up there.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I
That's a clip.
Just kind of hit my natural.
That's a clip.
yeah.
That's a clip.
I don't know if that's a clip because I was swearing so much.
Yeah. The language was like.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
What?
That's what makes it a clip.
But it was.
But sorry, I have to like work on that personally. But when I feel something really clearly, I swear. Yeah. But yeah, it was like, fuck man.
And you're obviously 100% right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like obvious kind of, right? It's like, I think it's not said enough.
It's as we are not being recorded anymore. It's actually one of the things that Melody and I feel very strongly about with the whole Bill Canada thing is that we feel very strongly that view that you just described is the one that, from a cultural perspective, for Bill Canada to hit for people, that's the thing you need to talk about.
Totally.
It doesn't, not like the other, like, just doesn't matter for like what hits for people. And I think that it's something that we internally struggle with getting everybody else aligned around. Is that this is the
But you
cultural
can do
energy,
it, but so you want to swim downstream, right? So if that's swimming upstream, it doesn't matter because you can do that through your other work. You can do that through your writing. You can do all that stuff, right? You swim downstream. So like what's downstream of Bill Canada is like it seems, you understand better than me, but for me what's cool about it is that it's like kind of like inspiring people to think of their government as like a more futuristic thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's downstream. So just swim downstream.
Totally. 100%.
You know, it's like you're not if you're trying to do the cultural resonance on that team, it's gonna be it's upstream. It's swimming upstream.
You are totally right.
Yeah. Just swim downstream on that. Swim downstream, man. Always. Yeah, that was really good, man. It's fun. We're trying to like figure shit out. Yeah. So yeah. No, I mean like let's do these conversations.
Yeah. No.